It is Wednesday, October 26th, 7:26 p.m. Week 7 is in the books. Things are taking form. Things are taking a geometrical shape. So we're going to cover it all like we always do. So everyone just tune in, chill out, and let the good times roll.
Welcome into the DNZ Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Zach, joined as always with my fellow LOC league mates Drake and Nick. Welcome back, boys. Another week of fantasy football is in the books. Drake, why don't you kind of give us your rundown? What do you think of the week?
Yes, sir. It was a good week. Outside of LOC, I suffered my first loss here in LOC, so that was a bit of a bummer, but good overall week for fantasy for me. These injuries that are popping up are starting to be devastating. But I had a good week. What about you, Nick? How was your fantasy week this week, man?
I don't want to talk about it.
Not good yet again?
No.
Yeah, you've been on a little bit of a slide. Is there any teams you got right now that are looking good?
Yeah, my communist team does, but we're going to open up the discussion about points for and points against.
We're not going to talk about it. That's just about.
We are.
Save it for the end.
It needs to be talked about.
Well, let's get right into it. Go through the injury report, new injuries from last week. First and foremost, the most important, the biggest storyline for the injury report here, the rookie phenom, Breece Hall, tears his ACL.
That's how my week's going.
Out for the season. Just absolutely devastating. Having him in Dynasty, you're going to obviously hang on to Breece Hall and have him for the foreseeable future, but Nick, you're not really competitive this year, so maybe it helps you in the long run.
Points against.
I've got Breece Hall in another Dynasty league where I'm essentially in rebuild tank kind of mode, so this only helps that. But having Breece Hall was
You're tanking.
Well, with Javonte Williams, Trey Lance,
is that commissioner
Breece Hall, now David Njoku. Yeah, in Dynasty, you're gonna get fined. You gotta try to be one of those first teams to fucking start tanking, because I've got 2 first-round picks in that shit. But
I'll tell you right now, the War Boys will never tank.
This is
just a bad team.
The Breece Hall really hurts one of my redrafts teams that I was just absolutely in love with. So hate seeing the Breece Hall news. He was looking like a top 5 running back out of everybody in the NFL. So sucks to see.
He did, yeah. He was, as of this week 7, he was running back 6, and he with great efficiency as well. He was averaging 5.8 yards a carry, and it's not like they were even overusing him either. He had 80 rushes total on the season, and so it is just heartbreaking to see that happen to such a young, promising player. You hope he's able to battle back, and then I know there were some question marks on that Jets offensive line going in. They also had one of their...
Yeah, Elijah Vera Tucker had some type of injury.
As well. And they had someone get hurt in the beginning of the season too as well, right?
Yep, Mekhi Becton.
That's right.
Bacon, something like that.
Hopefully they keep investing in that offensive line, because I do think they have a lot of weapons everywhere else. They've got a young, good quarterback. They've got a young receiver, young corner. I think they just need to help bolster that offensive line, especially with injury history.
And they did bring in a guy, and we'll talk about him in the news section to make up for the loss of Breece Hall. But moving on here in the injury report, David Njoku suffered a high ankle sprain, will not require surgery, but will be out 2 to 5 weeks. Sounds like similar type deal that Mac Jones was dealing with, maybe. Mike Williams, same category here, high ankle sprain. He's going to miss a minimum of 4 weeks, so similar timetable for David Njoku. It's weird how they report those two completely different, but it's essentially the same timetable. DK Metcalf was a new injury that popped up. I don't think it's a serious injury, doesn't need surgery. It's a patellar tendon injury.
Oh, my fuck.
Very possible he misses time. I know he was not practicing as of Wednesday. Deebo Samuel, add him to the list.
My ACL's made out of my patellar tendon.
That's
fun fact.
That's amazing.
Yeah, science.
And that's going strong.
So far.
Add Deebo Samuel to the list here for the no practicing on Wednesday. He's day-to-day with a hamstring injury. Not too concerned, but something to keep tabs on. Zeke, not practicing Wednesday either with that knee sprain. Dude his knee just got it was like a helmet hit him right in the knee. He ended up coming back in and playing some towards the end of the game there, but it's certainly possible that he is out Sunday and we see a little bit more Tony Pollard. We've already kind of been seeing a little bit of a shift there, but looks like Tony Pollard might be a set it and forget it type guy here in Week 8. Last one I got here is Alan Lazard. Not practicing Wednesday either with a shoulder injury. I think he actually came off the field or left the game in a sling here this last Sunday. He's in danger of missing Week 8 and possibly more. So the vibes in Green Bay are just not good whatsoever. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was publicly bashing. He didn't call Romeo Doubs out, but it seemed like he was just
it's a dumpster fire there, and
he's publicly acknowledging the recession that Green Bay is about to go into. So when there's a recession, you cut jobs. He wants to cut reps. He said when bad things are on the future. And let me just tell you, War Boys everywhere. We own every player on this fucking list except David Njoku and DK Metcalf.
Damn.
This is the first year I haven't owned any DK Metcalf, so I'm still not surprised. But yeah, I spent all of Red Zone. It was just cutting from clip to clip of my dudes going out. It was terrible.
I tell you, the one that's the most interesting on this list is Mike Williams, just because with Keenan Allen also kind of still missing time, coming back, right? And so, I mean, you already kind of saw their offense stalling out a little bit, minus Austin Eckler, but it'll be interesting to kind of see, because you don't want to have Keenan Allen come back from injury and immediately be the guy who's getting 12, 13 targets a game. So.
And that's going to be Austin Eckler moving forward. He's going to be getting 15 fucking targets a game, it seems like. He might lead the league in receptions this season, and he's a fucking running back. It's crazy. So
something to monitor moving forward.
Yes.
A little bit of news and notes here we can take a look at. Matt Ryan is out for the Colts. It's Sam Ehlinger season. Longhorn Nation, are we back?
We're back.
They're not back.
So he'll get a full. They don't have a bye this week. So I was thinking that's a move I feel like you need to make during a bye week, where you can say, all right, we're going to give you 2 full weeks of kind of
knowing you're the guy.
Right. Get a bunch of reps in at practice, do kind of stuff like that. But
he's banged up with that shoulder injury, and the vibes are that it's Ehlinger here the rest of the way out, which is just crazy. Maybe the Colts are wishing they still had Carson Wentz or did something different this offseason instead of bringing in old man grandpa Matt Ryan. But Matt Ryan's been
go
awful.
Backwards through their quarterbacks. So we have Matt Ryan. Last year it was Wentz. The year before that they did Phil. R.I.P.
And then before that was Jacoby Brissett.
And then Jacoby. So they already had Jacoby, but they just love backup quarterbacks and or washed quarterbacks.
Well, what's interesting is it hasn't ever really
thinking that they're the answer.
Like, instead of just punting on a season and trying to get like a top 10, top 5 pick, they do keep bringing in these guys, and they keep going 8-8, 9-8. They went 11-5, I believe, with Phillip Rivers, and they can never get good enough picks, and so they're stuck with that middle of the pack first round draft stock. And they're building a team around it. They just don't have a quarterback yet. Maybe that's something that they address in this quarterback deep draft. Or if Sam Ehlinger's the guy, then he's the guy. But they don't have a whole lot of weapons on that team outside of JT.
Michael Pittman, obviously, but he's definitely been underperforming to expectations, but all to the fault of his quarterback.
Yeah, that's quarterback play,
the Colts just haven't been the same at the quarterback position since Andrew Luck retired earlier than they probably expected. So I think you still like JT. They're going to maybe check it down to him a ton. But no more Matt Ryan. That experiment is over. James Robinson traded to the Jets.
Biggest news of the week here.
So trade deadline is not far away. I think it's like less than a week away, maybe even sooner than that.
November 2nd, I believe.
Stuff's happening trade-wise, and the Jets needed to make a move to try and add some type of running back to this team. It's clear that they don't want to rely on Michael Carter being that full workload RB1 in that offense. I think we'll still see plenty of Michael Carter, and I was getting pretty excited. I've got Michael Carter in LOC. Throwing in there on my flex spot with these bye weeks that are going on. Super excited about it, but maybe not as excited anymore. And I think James Robinson is dealing with a little bit of an injury, so it's possible he doesn't even play this week. But I mean, they're going to be giving him plenty of carries, you would imagine.
So do you think who's farther on the emotional scale right now? Are ESPN owners happier than Michael Carter owners are sad right now?
Oh, if you're an ETN, Travis ESPN owner, you are on the fucking moon. Like, I
would say you're over the moon.
Absolutely. There we go. I like that better.
You're on Jupiter.
Exactly. So exciting for Travis Etienne. And I mean, we're going to talk about guys that are skyrocketing up rankings once we go through LOC matchups. And Etienne's definitely a guy that we'll talk about. Another weird piece of news, which is just shocking. And I don't know. New Orleans is so weird. I feel like we never get accurate.
It's a weird city. It's actually the weirdest city in America, if you ask me.
We never get any accurate reports, it seems, or any legit reports whatsoever. It's just a hard team to keep tabs on. But Jameis Winston is healthy. But Andy Dalton is still the starter in New Orleans, which, I mean, Dalton did play pretty well last week.
He was a QB2.
He had a very good game. He was slinging it.
Did I miss a week, or was that his 3 INT week?
They play on Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
He had some, I think, some Andy Dalton interception type plays, but
3 of them.
He was slinging the rock around.
Still threw 4 touchdowns.
Andy Dalton to be the starter there for the foreseeable
Winston stat line, to be
future.
Honest. Holy fuck.
Right, and then other quarterback news here. Mac Jones. So Monday night, we saw Mac Jones to start with, and then he threw an interception, and we saw Bailey Zappi the rest of the way. And Zappi came in. He had a hot start to the game and then really just fluttered and wasn't very good the rest of the way. But it looks like Mac Jones is expected to start Week 8, despite what Zappi's been doing. So weird deal going on in New England. And I saw something today, actually. So Mac Jones threw an interception in that game early in the game and was benched for Zappi the rest of the way.
I wanted to talk about this.
And there was a video circulating on Twitter of the overhead camera, part of the string, the rope, guiding the camera around.
The sky cam, yeah.
The ball actually maybe tipped the sky cam string, the rope, and affected the trajectory of the pass and allowed it to get intercepted. So in the video, it's really hard to tell. But I mean, I think
if you're an elite level quarterback, you got to account for that.
Right.
Well, did you see? So according ESPN PR tweeted this out after that video circulated, and they on the record said this ball did not hit our wire. We would have known. It would have been radioed down. They have a full tweet breaking down that it didn't happen, and so that's just kind of a weird situation, I believe, because it definitely looks like it hits.
Place for this?
Yes, it's immediately a dead ball.
Really,
mm-hmm.
Really. So you could get a new down.
Yes.
Holy fuck.
So that just created a whole lot of drama.
That rule at some point. He probably just learned that rule, and he's going to use that rule to his advantage.
He's going to start throwing it right at the camera.
Or do that to kill time.
Right.
Because I don't know, even on a dead ball, I think it still takes time off the clock. That's interesting.
Yeah, but Mac Jones is going to be the starter there, it seems like, in Week 8. It's crazy that little camera wire caused all this drama here.
I know. Nothing like that to happen to anybody but the Patriots and Bill Belichick.
I know. I can't believe they got spanked, bro.
I do think that was funny, too. I do think it is what he's doing with the 2 quarterbacks is really just fucking with both of them, psychologically almost. Not off the field, obviously, but on the field, just being, oh, you're the starter. You had a bad series. He
wants them both to be 110% all the time.
Yeah, it's just very weird, in my opinion. I think it's just not a very good way to go about coaching. But obviously, he's won 7 Super Bowls, so who am I to judge?
Yeah, one's a top 10 pick. The other's a fucking don't even remember round he was picked in.
4th or 5th.
Right.
Western Kentucky.
Yep.
Okay. I think we're ready for Nick's fastest 2 minutes. Let's see what happened here in Week 7 of LOC.
Well. In our first matchup, we saw the Arrowhead Choppers chop up their arch-rival War Boys by a 25-point margin. Things are not looking good for the War Boys as they fall to 1-6, along with Breece Hall's ACL. Angry Josh was on bye, and Aaron Rodgers-Jones was back on his bullshit. Pouring salt on the wound, Justin Timberlake Fields put out what appeared to be serviceable quarterback play, while the War Boys are at risk of a coup. Arrowhead Choppers 155, War Boys 131. Moving on to our next showdown, we learned one thing remains true whether we're playing fantasy football or the game of life itself. Nobody's perfect. Lance Refrigeration picks up his first L, getting absolutely pterodactyled by a 108-point three-way splurge. Joe Bird Chase hopped on OnlyFans with Kenneth Runner Walker and posted the most watched video of the weekend. No further comment. Joe Mario Bros 186, Lance Refrigeration 150.
Woo!
In our next contest, it was the Ramondre Raptors scrambling away from JT and Company's asteroid strike to pick up a badly needed win. In a low-scoring affair, it was the Raptors picking up steady contributions all around while JT left his company on the bench. Raptors everywhere chant, "What extinction?" Chant it with me, Zach. What extinction? What extinction? Okay.
What extinction?
Ramondre Raptors 134, JT and Company 107. Our next tilt featured the Galactic Empire securing victory over Team RDC 22. In another low-scoring affair, the Empire prevailed behind Joe mixing up someone's face and Thierry Henry McLaurin's 36. Team RDC 22 and the Warboys are screaming to the bottom as we should officially open up the discussion for last place punishment. Galactic Empire 132, Team RDC 22 102. A lot of twos there. Rounding it all off was the Sunshine Squad shining those Nick Chubby rays on the London Bridge's Mahomes land. It was only by 10 points, and both sides respectively swapped jerseys after the game was over. Alvin and the Chipmunks Kamara emerges from prison, and George Little Kittle chipped in 22. Fuck me. The bridge was reinforced by a Maheckler 65-point special, but in the end, this league just got a hell of a lot closer. Sunshine Squad 152. London Bridge 142.
Very nice, Nicholas. That was a good one.
And I was fire picking those games too.
Love seeing the London Bridge go down, man.
Especially in the same week you go down.
I know. I needed that kind of
keep
needed
pace.
That shakeout
keep
that
pace.
way.
Yeah, there was. We did get very competitive here in the here this week. I think you got you and London Bridge kind of leading the pack there, but then I think there's really because I'm in 7th. But I think the person in 8th place can hop into 6th place. Like there's a lot of movement that can happen. A lot of open spaces here for the playoffs coming up.
Yeah, like you said, there's 3 and 4 teams currently, and 3 4 and 3 teams. So these next few weeks are really going to be super important for a lot of these teams right here in the middle of the road. But we kind of just pulled some headlines of the week here instead of going matchup by matchup. Finna, Nick, you mentioned it in your fastest 2 minutes, but Lance Refrigeration, undefeated, no more. My God, I mean, Joe Mario Bros are just absolutely dominating with the Burrow, Jamar Chase stack. He was the best team on the week, had the most points. I still had the highest points in the loss, yet it was still the biggest blowout of the week of 36 points. I mean, I was going against Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, and I thought I was fucked. And then I had Josh Jacobs really pull shit together and put up 3 touchdowns. I thought I was going to have a chance to win this matchup. And then Juju Smith-Schuster and Kenneth Walker happened and put that to bed pretty quick.
You got pterodactyl, bro.
Yeah, I learned what that was pre-pod.
Drake
Don't look it up.
What the pterodactyl is.
So did I. I had no idea what this was.
You
so
guys
this was
went to high school.
This was news to me, but Kenneth Walker really emerging as well. What a good draft for running backs, really, with Dameon Pierce, Kenneth Walker, R.A.P. Breece Hall, but even Tyler Algier still kind of finding his footing there in
And I'm just
Atlanta.
praying for the Rachaad White usage to go up. It's going up. So Rachaad White's the next guy I'm just like banking on, like all these other guys, obviously.
Mm-hmm. I think the only one who really was like a standout as far as fantasy would have been Zamir White, and obviously with what Josh Jacobs is doing there in Las Vegas, there's no reason to really play anybody else. I mean, he's averaging, 5 receptions a game, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns every game.
He's on this skyrocketing player list here, too.
Mm-hmm.
But other headlines here, Ramondre Rex and the Jamario Bros on a 2-game winning streak. Always good to get a little bit of a winning streak going. And then the 3 teams that got in the win column here this week after losing last week, Galactic Empire, Arrowhead Chappas, Sunshine Squad, all back in the winning column. Let's see if they can keep it going. Like I said, they're all kind of right there in the middle of the road. So each and every game from here on out is super important.
Let me hop back real quick. The Jamario Bros, they are our current projected champ. That Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase, that is the recipe to a league title. I did it last year in another league. The best part about that was I did that exact same thing that Graham did to you. I did that to Graham in the Communist League. That Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase. I won me the league last year, and don't put it past Graham winning this league this year. If they fucking figure that out and that just gets up and rolling again, that's impossible to defeat.
It does remind me of some of those old Brady Gronk matchups. A lot of what Josh Allen and even Stephon Diggs, it's just such a dynamic matchup.
They run deep, though. They run fucking deep. Deeper than shit. You ever been down to Louisiana? You ever heard of that hurricane? Neither of them were there for it.
I'll try and play a little devil's advocate here. I mean, I think they're still going to be fantastic rest of season, don't get me wrong. But they did just play the Atlanta Falcons, who has a dog shit pass defense. Mm-hmm. And AJ Terrell, one of the best corners in the National Football League, was injured early in that game. And, I mean, they stood little chance. I mean, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are going to just destroy the backups that come in those types of scenarios. So, I mean, I think we're still going to see big spike weeks like this every once in a while, but they should have done this against a terrible Atlanta pass defense.
They do have an interesting schedule coming up as well. They play the Browns in Cleveland. They'll play the Panthers at home, and the Panthers have a stifling defense as well. I mean, they played very well against the Buccaneers this past week.
I know. What another crazy game.
Yeah. So they got them. Then they go play in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's always tough, especially in Pittsburgh. They go and play Tennessee in Tennessee. And they're kind of starting to emerge after their slow start as well. They're 4-2 now and kind of finding their footing as a good team. Then they come and play the Chiefs. They go play the Browns again. They play the Bucks. They play the Patriots. They play the Bills. They play the Ravens.
The Chiefs game, is it in Cincinnati or Kansas City?
It's in Cincinnati.
I don't think it matters because every time we've played their ass, that has lit us up, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. Any quarterback going against Kansas City, you fire them up usually.
But, we can kind of go on a Chiefs tangent here real quick. I think our rookie cornerbacks are looking really good. I mean, these are our 4th and 7th round guys, and they're looking halfway decent. Like, this isn't their first year. So, I mean, they're doing as well as what Fenton would be doing right now, as good as Charvarius Ward was doing for us last year. And we still have McDuffie to come back.
And it's arguably the hardest position in football outside of quarterback.
Yeah.
And I really admire how Andy Reid and Spags and let these rookies play and make mistakes and learn from it. Mm-hmm. And with Trent McDuffie coming back, I mean, I see only improvement from our secondary.
Well, and I just think giving both these guys a lot of experience now, that just means you can rotate them in and out so they have fresh legs. They're not having to run toe-to-toe with Stephon Diggs every single route, run toe-to-toe with Jamar Chase. They just have so much. They'll be so fresh, and I think it's going to be really good for them.
Let's just speak it into existence. Trent McDuffie is the next shutdown corner in the NFL.
Yes, please.
But McDuffie Island doesn't have a nice ring to it.
It doesn't.
We'll workshop that. We'll see. So maybe he'll just come up with his own nickname. Chiefs Twitter will figure it out maybe. But last few headlines of the week here for LOC. Team RDC 22 on a 4-game losing streak. Hate to see it. He was the worst team of the week. I feel like that's been pretty much a running trend so far.
He somehow has a better record than me.
Yeah, which is crazy.
I'd be happy if I was second from last instead of dead last because we're going to do the points for, points against rant. I don't care what you guys say.
That's fine.
We'll just mute your mic.
And then JT and company fell down 2 spots in the standings. There wasn't a whole lot of movement in our standings otherwise than JT and company falling 2 spots. So
Cooper Kupp on the bench.
Yes,
doesn't help. Still a team to be feared.
Makeup really should have traded me for Ramondre. I don't think it would have helped him this week, but it would have made sure that Ramondre
everybody probably should have.
Wasn't on my team, but
you were trying to deal Devonta Smith too, and nobody wanted any action with that.
I wanted to trade Devonta Smith, Ramondre, and I tried trading Jalen Waddle this weekend.
Yeah, that's right.
Just no cigar.
That's the recipe for like a 3-year rebuild.
For me?
Is that the angle you want to get? You don't have a lot of firepower outside those dudes you just listed off.
I mean, I have Justin Jefferson, Devontae Smith. I wasn't going to trade all of them at the same time. I'm trying to get rid of receiver or running back because I still have Javonte Williams. I wouldn't if I get rid of Ramondre, I'd have Javonte Williams and Clyde plus a first-round pick or whoever I get. The trade that I was going to with Blair was...
Those are rebuild trades.
And you still have your 23 first, right?
Trades. I still have my 23 pick, and I'm not even really trying to trade for picks. I'm trying to trade for players.
Interesting.
That's my biggest thing because I tried my Jalen Waddle trade was Jalen Waddle for DeAndre Swift, which I think is kind of fair depending on where your team is at, but
right,
especially with a running back with a history of injury, I thought it was semi-fair. I mean, he was trying to trade me James Palmer and a first-round pick, but I mean, I decided I have a bunch of young guys. I don't need to be trading my young guys for one-year younger guys. Exactly. So, plus, I mean, I still have Treylon Burks, Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, and all those guys are going to do is continue to get better.
Yeah, I feel like you're almost in a full-on hold spot with the chance of having a couple guys that you just need to free up space for.
Right.
For the upcoming rookie drafts and just random ads of the week. Narrowest victory of the week in LOC, the Sunshine Squad was victorious over the London Bridge by 10.18 points. Reason I note this is because London Bridge had Tyler Boyd on his bench. I mean, Tyler Boyd, is he a week-to-week starter with how Joe Burrow's playing? I mean, I think it's very
really tough.
It's very boom bust, so I don't fault him for it, but sucks when Tyler Boyd's on your bench and goes for almost 30 points.
I mean, you can't blame him because I mean that's like saying Mecole Hardman should be your week-to-week starter.
When, right, after what he did, right.
When you have Travis Kelce, MVS, you have Juju Smith-Schuster, and he just had the 1 week where he just goes off. So, I mean, you can say the same thing about MVS as well. Like, oh, yeah, MVS should be a week-to-week starter.
Right. I mean, I think the only decision he would have been able to make here is start Tyler Boyd over Drake London.
Which
I don't think I would have.
Yeah, you wouldn't have done that.
Probably not. But I mean, it's not like Drake London's been fucking dog shit, and it's not any fault of his own.
If your team's named
he hasn't scored.
They're about 1 week away from switching quarterback. I feel like
I fucking hope so.
They
dude.
have to.
But Drake London hasn't
pitiful.
Drake London hasn't had more than 10 points since week 4. I mean, he's got all the talent in the world. I don't know why the fuck you draft him. You draft Kyle Pitts the year before, and you're running the ball constantly and only throw the ball 13 times when you're down multiple scores. Like, just a weird deal going on in Atlanta.
That's called tanking.
And you want that
they're like
philosophy to change.
Actually,
you want it to happen soon.
Think about that. How many? I remember hearing this over the weekend. How many pass attempts did they have? It was like
13.
Yeah, no, that's called tanking. They're like, our record is way too good right now.
Marcus Mariota is my fucking starting quarterback this week.
And they're just running the shit.
All this shit.
They're running the shit out of the ball with like below average running backs.
Yeah,
they've got Huntley and Tyler Algier. It's not like this.
That's called tanking.
we have Nick Chubb. Let's just hand him the ball 30 fucking times a game. Like, they're handing the ball off to mediocre fucking dudes.
Yeah, they are fucking tanking. They're like, we're doing way too good. What's their record right now?
I think they have 2 wins.
The Falcons?
I think so. 2 or 3 wins. Well, you look this up. These are Marcus Mariota's pass attempts. 33, 26, 20, 19, 25, 14, 13.
Yeah, that's called tanking. Because
this is ridiculous.
Were doing way too damn good.
This is ridiculous. And I mean, he's rushing the ball 12 times, 6 times, 7 times, 5 times, 7 times, 6 times, 6 times. I mean, he's averaging decent rushing yards for a quarterback. But, I mean, you can't be hitting the ball off 20, 30 times a game. Like, you just can't be doing that.
Yeah. I mean, you could still possibly rely on Mariota as a super flex second quarterback spot on a week-to-week, every other week basis, probably, just with his rushing upside. But the Falcons are 3-4, which, I mean, to be honest, I mean, I think they're still performing better than we would thought they would in preseason.
Yeah, they're performing better than they thought they would, and that's why they just had 13 pass attempts.
Exactly.
This is a total rebuild going on, and they said this isn't how you rebuild. How you rebuild is 13 pass attempts.
And they get the Panthers at home this week. And, I mean, the Panthers just beat Tampa Bay, but figure that's another winnable matchup for Atlanta.
Yeah, I don't understand what they're doing there.
Tanking.
But
all right, should we get in the skyrocketing players here?
Let's do it.
So, a lot of stuff going on. Players getting traded. New rookie running backs are like finally getting that running back one usage. But top of the list here is Travis Etienne. We mentioned it earlier, but he had 14 carries, 114 yards, 1 touchdown, had a 2-point conversion, had 1 reception on 5 targets for 5 yards. Did have a fumble loss, so it did kind of dwindle his numbers a little bit, but 17.9 points. I mean, he is the running back one in Jacksonville for the foreseeable future, if not for the entire rest of the way of his career.
In a pretty decent Jacksonville team at that.
I know.
They're looking really good. Doug Peterson's done a good job there.
Trevor Lawrence is a top 10 quarterback right now.
Did you see the way that game ended?
I don't remember.
So they had the ball.
Oh.
They were down 6 and threw the ball, caught it at like the 2-yard line, was falling into the end zone, and the Giants just swarmed them and
right. It was going to be like a last-minute comeback for Trevor Lawrence to add to his resume, and marched all the way down there. But I remember it now. It was a pass to Christian Kirk.
It was a legit like Friday Night Lights ending.
It was
there.
a damn good play, and he was literally inches away. Props to that corner that just stuck him and held him up.
Yeah, but
would have loved that touchdown from Christian Kirk there.
Yeah, that would have been really cool. Next guy here on our list, we have Kenneth Walker. And we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. Kenneth Runner Walker.
That's right.
He had a hell of a week this week. 23 carries for 168 yards, 2 touchdowns.
My
and
God.
one of them was a 40.
Of that division.
They are at the top.
I just want to say that real quick.
The NFC Beast.
Who would have thought?
Wow, they're the NFC West. The Beast. Jesus, I fucked that up.
Is it the NFC West?
Yeah, they're in the NFC West. And who would have thunk it? Like that entire division is like flip-flopped on itself.
Not me. Yes.
Rams, Niners, Cards. Suck a dick. Seahawks in first place.
Yeah. Kenneth Walker had 30 points this week. He's RB20 on the season. That's only going to go up. I mean, between him and Travis Etienne, are they both top 10 running backs rest of the season?
I would put my money more on Kenneth Walker just because I think it's more of a complete team. I think there's still a little bit more to be seen from Jacksonville just because they are Jacksonville.
And who knows how long DK is out, and they just really rely on Kenneth Walker more than they have the last few weeks.
And I watched
the only dude on that team in terms of that backfield who's going to get carries.
Well, yeah,
correct.
I mean, so is ESPN. Who else do they have there?
Jamichael Hasty there in Jacksonville. He's now the backup, and then backup there in Seattle is like DJ Dallas.
Yeah. I watched a really kind of sick video of ETN running the football, and whenever he turns a corner, his whole body, and I'm using my hands to kind of describe this, so you can't really see, but his whole body is slanted as he's turning the corner.
No, yeah, his feet do some crazy shit.
Yeah, apparently he has webbed feet or something like that.
Take
so
the angle with him.
Yeah, and that. It's kind of nerve-wracking for the injury purposes, especially with that he had was it an Achilles or was it just a foot injury last year?
No, he broke some bone in his foot.
So
that's probably why.
But I just thought it was really sick.
I've been such a big fan of Travis Etienne and I mean Kenneth Walker of late as well. I mean Etienne essentially this is his rookie season, didn't play at all last year because of that foot injury. But I mean, Travis Etienne, he's skyrocketing up rankings. And I remember the pre-draft process with him and Najee. I think they got drafted back-to-back. And I remember just trying to figure out who I would like more out of the rookie running backs. And it was a tough decision, but I think I was leaning more towards Etienne. Mm-hmm. But Najee Harris obviously had a fantastic rookie year last year. But, I mean, if you try to trade Najee for Etienne straight up, you're not getting it done.
You're not going to be able to do it.
Which you could have maybe done before the season started 100%.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe that's because I was desperately trying to trade for ETN with Jared in the Galactic Empire, and he wasn't budging. Don't fault him for it. I would not have been budging if I was him being the owner of ETN, but my God, wheels are up.
I think it's interesting that ETN's becoming the player that we thought Cam Akers was going to be.
I know. Poor Cam Akers, man. Those
hope
Achilles injuries.
Yeah, you hope he gets traded somewhere. I just don't think they trust him in the offense for whatever reason.
I know, man.
I think he should get traded somewhere.
Kansas City.
Just the vibes in LA for the Rams are terrible.
Yeah, it's just kind of a dumpster fire there
I think Henderson's a solid start going forward, but it's not like you're pushing for him to be a top 15, top 20 back.
No.
How hyped up would you guys be for the day if on your drive in to work every single day you just saw the streets lined with homeless people? That'd be pretty depressing.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah.
But I won a Super Bowl, so I wouldn't really care. Next guy here on our list, though. Our running backs have really started to take a turn for the better this year. They kind of got off to a slow start, and were being overshadowed by a bunch of receivers. But Josh Jacobs finally starting to come into his own. He had another 20 carry, 143-yard, 3 tutties.
Man, oh man, 36 points, RB4 on the season. The newest acquisition for Lance Refrigeration. And my God, having Josh Jacobs on your fantasy teams has to be fantastic. He's got to be the best late round value for redraft and stuff. I wish I was more in on Josh Jacobs than I think obviously everyone could probably say that. But the dude just looks like a full-on workhorse running back that we don't see very often anymore in the NFL. He had that bye week, but he's had 3 straight games of 30-plus points. And I can't believe I was able to trade for him and make that happen. I cannot believe it. I traded a first-round 23 rookie pick, and I'm 6-1, and I'm hoping to be in that championship game and finish atop of the standings. So it should be a late 23 first-round pick. And Najee Harris, I traded that away for Josh Jacobs and Dalvin Cook with the Arrowhead Chappas. And I can't believe the trade went through. I am thrilled. And having Josh Jacobs on my team plus Saquon Barkley is just really hoping that carries me the rest of the way. But top 5 back rest of the season, Josh Jacobs, I think he's already is. Why wouldn't he stay around there?
I think that's trending towards RB1, to be honest. I mean, those are the numbers we see from an RB1, and I believe in patterns and trends. And when you see 3 straight 30-point performances, that's RB1.
I think a lot of it depends on what the Browns do with Kareem Hunt, and if they do decide to trade him. I mean, Nick Chubb's currently RB1 right now.
It might be even Austin Eckler could be too as well. Austin Eckler could be competing for that RB1 spot with him and Saquon and Nick Chubb.
But how stupid do you think the Raiders feel right now for turning down his 5th-year option? Because, I mean, at this point, you have to get rid of him. You can't keep him on your roster because his new contract... I saw
some shit that the McDaniels really likes him, so he's going out of his way to get this dude the ball to get him numbers so that they can re-sign him. Is that working against the organization or what's best for the team moving forward?
Well, I mean, so I have his contract pulled up here on Sports Track, and his salary for 2023 would have been $8 million. Ain't no way.
No, he's gonna need. He's essentially in his contract year.
If they want to re-sign him, he'll have to get something this offseason or even this season now.
Having that happen and playing in the Hall of Fame game like he did, like maybe that's really what has fueled him to go fucking bananas this year.
This $8 million is going to be baseline, and then he's going to want more guaranteed money on top of that. So,
and he's deserving of every fucking penny that he's going to get.
I wouldn't pay it. Quite frankly,
well, I wouldn't have either.
Paying running backs.
I would have kept it because at this point, if he doesn't want to take your offer, he can go anywhere else in free agency and do that. And in free agency, you can structure a contract however the fuck you want with cap wizardry, and he can essentially make less than what he would have next year somewhere else, but backload that contract. So I think they really fucked themselves with this whole Josh Jacobs situation.
Did you know that Josh Jacobs is the same age as Najee Harris?
I did.
24. Najee's old, man.
That's very interesting. Yeah. I did not know that.
Josh Jacobs.
He sat behind Josh Jacobs for a while at Alabama.
I know, right? Those Alabama dudes, man. All fucking running backs everywhere. We've got Joe Burrow here on the skyrocketing list here. We all know Joe Burrow is super talented. We all know he was probably one of the top 5 dynasty running backs or quarterbacks to have on your team. But just the preseason vibes, he had that gallbladder injury. So
I don't think that was talked about enough.
Right. There wasn't a whole lot of hype. And I was able to draft Joe Burrow in a super flex league super late than normal. And I am fucking thrilled that I have Joe Burrow. And he's the quarterback 3 currently, man. Mm-hmm. 481 yards passing this past week, 3 touchdowns, 2 40-plus touchdown bonus. Just insane. He had a rushing touchdown as well. 40-plus points. Joe Burrow, you've got Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Is Joe Burrow that next guy, or do you see maybe Jalen Hurts filling in that 3rd spot? Who else? Maybe, Justin Herbert's in that category as well. Josh
Allen's number 2.
Mahomes, and then is it? I mean, obviously, currently Joe Burrow's third
number
overall,
3
but
is Joe Burrow.
I would say Joe Burrow just because
absolutely
this is his
is
second
Joe
year
Burrow.
doing it. Technically, this is his third season, right? I mean, he was really good as a rookie if you think about it, and
then he tore his ACL.
Right. So I really think it's him, and then I would maybe put Herbert, and
Herbert
then
is so overrated. This is a whole discussion that we need to have.
I think Herbert's is just a stats guy. I think he's just a stats guy.
I heard someone say he's not overrated; he's overpraised. For Justin Herbert.
Okay.
I'll agree with
and
that.
I like that thought.
Just a quick on that J Herb. That's all I'll say is people were defending him this week, and they put up look at all the rookie quarterback records that he has. It's like most touchdowns thrown by a rookie quarterback, 36, or I think it was like fucking 31. I'll give him 36. I think it was 36. I mean, all of those. I mean, he has the rookie record for touchdowns, yards, completions. Patrick Mahomes,
yeah, he did all of that.
Technically was a rookie. I wish they could rework that rule somehow where
they do it like
if
baseball.
You don't play more than 8 quarters or whatever the fuck, you're still considered a rookie.
I agree.
Because when you put that into context, if he didn't have all those headlines when they were talking about sets the rookie record for this, sets the rookie record for that, when really Mahomes fucking put all of those records out of reach for any future quarterback, would we still be talking about Justin Herbert the same way? This dude hasn't made the playoffs, and he just got beat by 2 scores by the Seahawks.
I think Herbert just doesn't have a speedy wide receiver to stretch defenses.
He's got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler.
Exactly. You look
Go
at that
fuck yourself,
preseason, and you're like, he's got one of the best 2 wide receivers in the NFL currently. And it's just not been good. I mean, obviously they've been battling injuries and stuff, but I mean, yeah, maybe we should have seen Joe Burrow. We should have seen this coming. But I think he is overperforming a little bit, maybe from the early preseason expectations. And next guy here on the list, super excited about Mondre. The Ramondrosaurus Rex has to be even more excited.
He better.
He's RB1 in New England.
He should be. I mean, he only had 11 carries for 40 yards, but he had a touchdown. He had 8 receptions on 8 targets. So he's a reliable catcher. He had 60 yards receiving. So
RB8 on the year, man.
Mm-hmm. I really hope that they just kind of continue to lean that way. Obviously, they're running back by committee with, was it Damian Harris? Is that his name?
Correct. Yep. And Damian Harris, he was back this week. I mean,
he outcarried him.
Maybe isn't 100%, so we'll see if this sticks, but I think it's going to stick.
I mean, I don't know why you don't. I mean, you can just tell the difference.
He's
you can just tell the difference when they're running the football. So, yeah, really excited about this guy.
I know. Mondre, I've got him and Travis Etienne. I went 0 running back, drafted Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams. Now I've got Mondre and Etienne fully locked in at running back 1 on their teams, and
I'm telling you, I really
taking a victory lap. But my God,
I really think the 0 running back route is that's something we need to talk about sometime.
That
maybe in the offseason.
Might be the strategy moving forward. It's certainly the strategy. If you went with this season, you're in good shape. And another guy that really fits that same bill that we haven't quite seen the takeover yet, but it's starting to shape out that way. Tony Pollard. 12 carries, 83 yards, 2 receptions on 2 targets for 26 yards, just 12.9 points, but he is seeing more volume week in and week out, and Zeke was banged up and is most likely going to miss the week 8.
At least 2 weeks, yeah.
Exactly, and with no Zeke in town, I mean, Tony Pollard, my God, needs to be in your starting lineup.
I think Tony Pollard is what AJ Dillon should be for the Packers, and for whatever reason they just keep leaning into AJ Dillon.
Oh, AJ Dillon. Well, yeah, he's a falling player that's on our list here.
Yeah.
But Tony Pollard.
Yeah, big on Tony Pollard. Next guy we have here, Juju Smith-Schuster had 2
back-to-back
really good games. 7 receptions on 8 targets for 124 yards and a touchdown. His touchdown, he kind of looked like it wasn't as fast as Tyreek, obviously, but it was just
open space.
It was just one of those like 12-yard slants. Found the open space, had kind of a downfield block from MVS, but he's starting to mesh with Patrick Mahomes, I feel like, and they're really looking good.
What I like what that Juju does, and he showed here this last week, is he'll break that first tackle and get additional yardage. Like, you throw the same type of ball, same type of route for like Mecole Hardman, he probably goes down if he's unable to outrun him. But Juju's a big dude. He can run right through dudes and pick up 10, 15 yards.
Big yak machine.
And,
so
I mean, maybe we throw MVS into the same category. They were the first 2 wide receivers for the Kansas City Chiefs to go over 100 yards in the same game since 2000.
Yeah.
First time that's
22
happened
years.
Since 2000. So obviously the first time that's happened for Patrick Mahomes, having 2 wide receivers over 100 yards. Add in Travis Kelce.
Yeah, that probably doesn't count the Tyreek Trav games, though.
No, it doesn't.
Well, because Trav is a tight end.
Right,
but
right.
No, well, he almost had 3 receivers or 3 players at 100 yards because Travis had 98 on tight end day. They tried to get him his 100 yards there at the end of the game, but
he should have had a touchdown, but that was that bullshit fucking.
Well, that was Juju.
That was bullshit.
That was Juju. It should have been.
Yeah, that happened too, but there was another play with Trav. It
was
he was offside, so Wiley.
That was an illegal low
well, that was to Juju. That's what I'm talking about. He's talking about the offsides, and then there was block in the back or
it was Wiley because
it was hands to the face,
right?
And I think Mitchell Schwartz talked about this, and he was just saying something along the lines of, it's bullshit that you're penalized as an offensive lineman for trying to stop a defensive lineman who hopped off sides and has like a free lane to your quarterback. Like, you're doing whatever you can to get that motherfucker out of the way.
Yeah, since that penalty happened first, you think since he's desperate to stop the guy, he doesn't kill Patrick Mahomes and gets a hand on his face mask.
Right. I think like
first penalty should be what it was called.
I think in that situation, like anything at the line of scrimmage outside of like a huge face mask or something like that should be moot. Like, if you have offensive pass interference or intentional or things like that, like obviously like that shouldn't count. But yeah, I don't think as an offensive lineman you should be penalized for doing your job when the other guy, for lack of a better word, cheated.
I know, and that touchdown was such a baller play from Trav too, because he just
gets the big hit,
stuck the dude. They're like Troy Polamalu dude, who's like been talking to Troy Polamalu, figuring out all these tricks and stuff, but just stuck this dude.
Big hit.
Dude went down and he just stretches. He just puts one hand.
Yeah, he just
stretches the ball,
spins out of it and stretches. Yeah, that was such a
it was a boss
sick move.
Wish that stood.
Next guy here on our list, another receiver. We're finally getting to our receiver lists here. George Pickens had another really good day. I think him and Kenny Pickett, the pick and pick connection, really starting to connect there. He's got his first touchdown on the year, 6 for 6 for 61 yards, 18 fantasy points. I really think he's probably Pickett's favorite connection. It's weird because I watch all of these games with him just because I have him on my fantasy roster, and it looks like Pickett tries to start the game going to Claypool, to Deontay Johnson. Is that his name?
Yes.
Like, they try and start the game going to those guys, and it's like, fuck, they keep dropping or keep getting broken up, not creating enough space, and it's like, all right, well, let's fuck it, go to Pickens, and he's wide open, making baller catches, stretching for the end zone. So I really hope he starts seeing, 6 for 6, getting 6 targets is really good anyway, but
especially if he starts getting in the end zone. The 3 out of the 4 weeks, 3 out of the last 4 weeks, he's had 14 plus points, and definitely a guy you can consider at your flex spot.
I think they've been using him more as like a deep threat kind of distraction to pull safeties. I think they need to start getting him involved more in the intermediate game, and I think that'll really help them out in the long run, at least in fantasy.
Next guy, DeAndre Hopkins. We all know he's talented. We just and it wasn't even. It's not like he came back from an injury.
Rising. Yeah, come on. This dude was at the top.
Yeah,
his first 6 weeks he had 0 points.
Yeah, this is the first time he's ever gotten any points in fantasy this year.
This dude wasn't even hurt. This dude was on steroids. We all knew this was going to come back and pop.
But yeah, if you were able to hold on to D-Hop, put him on your IR this whole time, he is paying off. You're going to see targets, and more targets until Hollywood Brown is back. And I think D-Hop is a set it and forget it type guy, which is not surprising, but we wanted to mention it. And then the last guy here on the list is, I don't know, it was pretty surprising, actually, that I added him here to the list, but I believe it, Justin Fields. His passing stats aren't very enticing, but on Monday night, he had 14 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown. He had like 4 fumbles, it looks like. None of them were lost, so that was kind of bringing down his point total on the week. But, if they're using his rushing upside like this and they're going to utilize it to the fullest like they have this past week or two, then, I mean, Justin Fields is going to be a guy that is completely fine for your super flex second quarterback spot.
Right.
And apparently Chicago, they've been stealing plays from Baltimore and how Lamar Jackson is used in the rushing game.
I think that's smart.
100%, because he's got similar talent and he's a big dude.
Mm-hmm. He's hard to take down. Did you watch the Manning cast at all on Monday?
I saw a few clips of it. I saw Barack Obama was on.
I didn't want to watch while Obama was on.
Obama was actually pretty cool. He was pretty funny.
Yeah, and every time he says something, goes, ha, ha, ha. So funny, Barack.
Well, that's not what I was like. I was so obviously both Eli and Peyton, previous quarterbacks, they love being like critical or like pass it, throw it away. Anytime Justin Fields did like his little scramble thing, like throw it away, and you're like just scramble and get like 15 yards, and you could just see Peyton like roll his eyes, just like Jesus, I wish I could do that back in my day. I really do think he's kind of coming into his own. He kind of knows what he needs to be doing now, and it kind of reminds me. Have you seen the movie Major League?
Oh yeah,
back in the day. It kind of reminds me of this scene whenever he's like scrambling for dear life. It's just like the fuck you, Joe Boo. I do it myself. That guy, Serrano, he's like, all right, if no one's going to get open, no one's going to block for me, fuck it. I'm going to run for 15, 20 yards. I'm going to get this first down, and we're going to keep playing. We're going to the playoffs.
He almost is a one-man show at times. Mm-hmm. But I do remember the Manicast, there was a clip. So when they scored a touchdown with Khalil Herbert on that little screen pass, Patriots came up. They were in they had a zero blitz.
It was a zero, yeah.
And Manning's like, check out of it, get a play. Like, zero blitz, check out of it. But they already had the play called up, and
he does the Patrick Mahomes like sidearm sling.
Yeah, he had a guy in his fucking face out the gate. Couldn't make a normal throw. Pump faked, dropped down to a sidearm, was able to throw a fluttery pass to Khalil Herbert, who walked into the end zone untouched.
And
Mannings were impressed.
That was roughing the passer on that play too. Like,
he got sandwiched, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm a big like. All right, you're treating these quarterbacks like sissies. Like that guy got sandwiched and then drove into the ground. It was roughing the passer. One guy we didn't add in here that I think we actually should have, and I'm only mentioning this because he's on my team. But Daniel Jones. Do you know what Daniel Jones is currently ranked right now in our league?
Is he top? I'll give him QB 10.
He is QB 10.
Wow.
So Daniel Jones,
spot on.
Daniel Jones starting to come into his own as well.
With that rushing upside.
With the rushing upside, he was a guy. He also, I believe, didn't get his 5th-year option picked up, and so it's contract year for him as well. But I think this coach is finally like realizing what he needs to be doing with Daniel Jones. They have some decent weapons there in New York. Obviously, they have the most expensive wide receiver room, and even though they don't always act like it, it's doing pretty well.
Yeah, and I think Wan'Dale Robinson's only going to get better as the season goes. Mm-hmm. Really love him and how they utilize him. But yeah,
just another guy.
Good addition.
Just another guy I was thinking of because I was looking at Justin Fields and it made me think of Daniel Jones, who had 29 points in fantasy this week. So we have some guys that we want to talk about who are falling. We can kind of fly through these guys here just because they're very depressing. I want to start off, we have A.J. Dillon listed here first, but I want to start with Russell because I feel like we can talk about him a little bit more, especially with his flight out to London, all those antics. Let's talk about that more than let's talk about how pitiful he is and how dog shit.
Love to. So he's got that hamstring deal, correct, and they're playing in London, which is about an 8-hour flight. Apparently,
more than 8 hours.
Okay, longer than 8 hours, so a lot of time to kill on the plane. He watched a little bit of film and then spent like 2 hours doing high knees down the aisles while everyone else was sleeping. Just the most on-brand Russell Wilson shit you could ever fucking see.
Dude's a fucking weirdo. I think this was so swept under the rug. I don't know if it was Pete Carroll
or
Pete Carroll was doing this.
Pete Carroll is another
whole weirdness. He is a weird guy.
Pete Carroll is like Mike Tomlin keeping AB under the rug for all these years.
I feel like the biggest problem with his personality, I guess, is the disconnect that he has with his teammates. Mm-hmm. I remember someone talking about how
he's so weird though that he thinks doing high knees up and down the plane while everyone's sleeping is gonna endear him to the locker room. It's so funny.
You're like, is this?
I just laugh right now.
You're like, did the winds just pick up? Are we going through some turbulence here, or is it just Russell Wilson doing high knees in the aisle?
He just cares more than everyone else. Like that's what that puts out, though, right? Like,
I don't want to joke.
That's what he said. I was doing high knees while everyone else was sleeping. That's what he
What
said.
were you doing?
That's what he says. I don't want to joke around with this, but like you mentioning like the turbulence, and I never wish injury upon someone. But can you imagine if he's like up about the cabin doing high knees, and something like
rolls his ankle?
Well, even like the seatbelts, like the seatbelt lights off, and you could be roaming about, but you still like hit a little bit of turbulence there for a second. Like, can you imagine doing high knees and you just like roll your ankle, hurt your hamstring more, you tear your ACL or some shit on.
This dude is sitting in his own plane aisle. He doesn't have anyone else sitting in his aisle. I know they're in first class and all that fun shit, but he's sitting by himself and everyone else is sleeping. He's sitting there thinking to himself, if I start doing high knees up and down the plane, my teammates will see how much I care. Like, he is a fucking weirdo.
He's going to have jet lag is what he's going to have. His hamstring will be fine, but he'll just be fucking worn out. But yeah, he's currently QB 22 on the season. He might play this week, but
yeah, you're not confident when you're trying.
I also feel like QBs never play well in the London games. Anytime there's those extended flights, I just feel like both QBs never really do well, and so he's trending for me towards a sit for this week, and I guess they have the bye next week, so it doesn't really matter.
Can I read this quote here, just at least part of it here from Russell Wilson, just about the whole working out on the plane, I guess. So
spit it.
So, quote for Russell Wilson here: I don't really get jet lagged too often. I've traveled enough to kind of get my system down. For me, I was on the plane the first 2 hours. What is it, an 8-hour flight?
Oh my!
The first 2 hours, I was watching film, watching all of the cut-ups and everything else. And then the next 4 hours, I was doing treatment on the plane. I was walking up and down the aisles. Everyone was knocked out. I was doing high knees and working on my legs and everything else, making sure I'm ready to rock. So that was good. And in the last 2 hours, the last hour of that, I fell asleep for 1 hour and I watched film for the rest. It felt good to go once we got back. Coaches did a good job. This is just a weird quote. He talks so weird. I don't even want to read the rest of this. But
was the rest of that when he gets into his diet and how he's even trying to perfect his diet so that he never has to shit?
Jesus.
This dude is a weirdo. I thought you were going to read that quote out loud.
No.
Maybe we shouldn't. Don't even.
He's just bragging about himself on the plane ride and how much he's doing to better himself. But, I mean, it seems like he's trending towards playing this week. So it seems like if you've got him, you might be forced to play with him.
Like me. That's me.
But let's go to some other guys here falling. Obviously, A.J. Dillon, if he wasn't already, is drastically falling down in your rankings. In week 7, he had 4 carries, 15 yards, which equates to 1.5 points. RB 35 on the season.
For an offense that's struggling so much, I don't know why they're not trying to mix things up and use a change of pace. Like, why is AJ Dillon only getting 4 carries? Like, obviously, like that's only 3 yards a carry, but I always thought he was more of like their receiving back, their screen game type guy, and they're just not using him. So
the Commanders' defense is terrifying, man. Fuck.
Shit, I guess so. But
AJ Dillon hasn't had over 10 points since week 1, averaging 8 points on the year. Other running backs to add to this list: Jeff Wilson, Elijah Mitchell. Speaks for itself. CMC in town. R.I.P. and peace to Jeff Wilson and Elijah Mitchell.
R.I.P.
I want to talk about Melvin Gordon and Courtland Sutton here as well. So 3 Denver Broncos on this fading list, and Courtland Sutton had 3 receptions on 9 targets for 23 yards, 5.3 points in week 7. Back-to-back weeks with 5 or less points. Sucks because I've got Courtland Sutton in a couple of redraft leagues, and I'm 2-5 in one of those leagues that I've got Courtland Sutton. So he's not doing anything for your fantasy football roster, and neither is Melvin Gordon. Latavius Murray is taking over, it seems. But Denver did move Mike Boone to the IR, so maybe this ends up helping Melvin Gordon. But what the takeaway here for me is
Denver's offense sucks. Don't play any of them.
Yes, don't play any of them. But what surprises me the most about Melvin Gordon and how ass he is, I mean, we knew he sucked, and we wanted to see Javonte Williams take off and have that full running back 1 workload, fuck the 50-50 carries between the two. But Melvin Gordon, how bad he is, they needed to bring in Latavius Murray, and now Latavius Murray is getting the workload. Like, why the fuck was Melvin Gordon ever considered anywhere close to a 50-50 share with Javonte Williams as the running back there? Like, my God, it just blows my mind. Melvin Gordon, you maybe he has a good week with Mike Boone out and get him the fuck off your team.
That does remind me of, remember when Melv was in that big contract dispute with LA?
Right.
And they were like, bro, we got Eckler. And then he goes to Denver and he's like, bruh, I'm here. And they're like, well, bruh, we got bruh. And now he's here, bruh's hurt. And he's like, bruh, we got other bruh. And so Melvin Gordon's just been this inevitable failure.
I know, just not good. Cannot rely on him. Najee Harris is also another running back I want to add to this list here. 17 carries, 65 yards, 3 receptions on 4 targets for 15 yards. He's running back 22 on the season. He's got 3 touchdowns on the year, 1 rushing, 2 receiving. He's yet to eclipse 15 fantasy points in a week. He's averaging 10 points a game. If he wasn't already, he is falling down rankings, whether it's redraft, dynasty. He did have that little bit of a foot injury with that steel plate in. Now that's fully gone. He does have a shitty offensive line, but Najee Harris not looking good, not efficient whatsoever.
Is this a short term he's fallen down for you, or do you think he's the product of that bad O-line you just talked about?
I think it's a product of a bad O-line.
I know. I think that's a really good question. And maybe it's a good time to buy low on Najee.
Is he a trade piece? Like, where is?
I traded him.
Get moved to a contender.
I traded him away.
Not this year, but
I think the problem with him is with the bad O-line. Like, if you're looking to trade him away, you're not going to get what you think his future value is.
You're selling low.
Yeah, and so you're going to think I can get either a player in a first round pick or a player in a high second round pick or something like that. But it's just not.
And nobody probably wants to touch Najee with a 10-foot pole.
No, and I'm sure contenders would love to have them on their roster just because, oh, great. Next year, once they rebuild,
Najee Harris sounds great.
Once they get healthy, all of this stuff.
He has the name recognition.
But I just don't see it happening. I think he's someone you hold and you maybe put him in your flex spot, or you just keep him on your bench really the rest of the season if you have other guys you can plug in there. But
it's crazy that he's not even a startable running back 2, essentially.
Right. I do think their schedule gets a little bit easier. I think the biggest issue with them is their defense is so banged up and bad at the moment that their games kind of get out of hand. They fall behind and they can't rely on a run game. They have to keep throwing the football, and so it kind of leaves him out of the loop there, except for screens where he can make plays.
And his situation is muddy. It's not like it's ETN or Kenneth Walker. I guess Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf goes down, so that raises him up a bit. But they've got 3 wide receivers that are solid.
Mm-hmm.
Deontay, Claypool, and now George Pickens. There's just a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. And it does seem like Jaylen Warren gets a drive or 2 a game as well, the rookie. And he looks decent.
He looks pretty
good,
yeah.
Nothing special. I don't think he's ever going to steal the starting job from Najee. But,
no.
But, Najee falling down the rankings. And we got another quarterback here. Jared Goff, the last one on our fading list. He was a top 10 quarterback there for the first few weeks, but just 1.5 points here in week 7. And that did maybe coincide with not having DeAndre Swift. Amon-Ra had to leave the game because of a concussion that wasn't ever actually ruled a concussion after the fact, which is kind of dumb. And we're really seeing that concussion protocol come in and bite us in the ass fantasy wise, because he did get rocked and clobbered in the head by some dude's arm and looked bad, and he definitely needed a second to kind of gather himself, but wasn't actually ruled a concussion. But maybe once these guys come back, Jared Goff is maybe closer back to what he was at the beginning of the season. But yeah, Jared Goff, I've got him on the major fade list here.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that pretty much concludes kind of some of our falling guys there.
Yeah, I hope you've got the skyrocketing guys and you don't have the fading guys.
I had all the injured guys.
That's a bummer. That's not good either.
No.
But you know what is good, Nick? Your record on the season. Go ahead and give us your breakdown here.
Yeah, what are your standings now? Are you still in the green?
Oh, we're in the green. We farther advanced this week. I went 3-2 again, just like last week.
Back to back.
That puts me at, I believe, 19-16 on the year, which is awesome. That's totally making money. If I could legally place bets, we're still in talks with some casinos. Running it down last week, Arrowhead Choppers over War Boys. Correct. Jomario Bros. I called this shit. Jomario Bros. Over Lance Refrigeration.
Good call.
Correct.
Good call.
JT and Company over Ramondra Raptors. That was wrong. Galactic Empire over Team RDC 22. That was correct. And the London Bridge over Sunshine Squad, that was wrong. But all that added up to another 3-2 record. We started slow, but we are in the green, and we're only getting better every week.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Yeah,
so
pretty good marks there.
Do you have your picks for the upcoming week?
I do. And let me tell you what's exactly going to happen this week.
Yep, give it to me.
JT and Company will take down the War Boys. Lance Refrigeration will take down the London Bridge. Jomario Bros retaining yet again projected champ, as they should. Jomario Bros over Team RDC 22, and Galactic Empire takes down Ramondra Raptors. Oh wait, there's one more. Sunshine Squad will defeat Arrowhead Choppers. Arrowhead Choppers are kind of on a rise.
Keep being a
as
hater.
Of late, but
keep being a hater.
I will. Sunshine Squad had dudes on bye last week. He had Steph the fuck off me Diggs on bye last week. So he's going to put together an even better performance, put the Arrowhead Choppers back in their place. But that will be my game of the week is Sunshine Squad Arrowhead Choppers. If you look at those records right there, that's a huge one. You have Arrowhead Choppers just storming back into relevance, and the Sunshine Squad is right there. So I think how the winner of that game is going to shake shit up.
Did you pick a winner for me in Blair's game? Lance Refrigeration, London Bridge. What did you say? I missed it.
You're going to defeat the London Bridge.
Fuck yeah. Let's go. He's got Patrick Mahomes, Austin Eckler on bye.
Oh, yeah.
My luck continues.
That's a huge win for you.
Needed it. What did you say in your fastest 2 minutes? What was your little term, your fifth slang for Terry McLaurin?
Oh, that one.
That was my favorite.
That was more for Jared, honestly. I called him Thierry Henry McLaurin. He's a famous soccer player.
It sounded like you were saying he was Henry or something. So okay, I didn't get that reference at all.
Thierry Henry McLaurin. I mean, we could do that a million different ways, but that was more so of only Jared's going to pick that up. Thierry Henry.
Doing
McLaurin.
Shit specifically for Jared. What is this?
It was some bullshit. Jared doesn't even listen to the podcast.
No, he does.
He doesn't.
Every time I cover his segment, I call it a tilt, and then I sprinkled in a soccer player.
Jared, comment down below if you're still listening.
Yeah, but
I'm gonna text you to listen to this shit. So
I think that'll pretty much do it for this episode of the DNZ Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you all so much for listening. We really appreciate it. If you're new here, make sure you drop a like and subscribe. We are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify now, so you can listen to us there.
Yes, we're big time, man.
You can also catch us on the YouTube. We really appreciate all of our YouTube listeners, so thank you all so much, and we'll catch you next time on the DNZ Fantasy Football Podcast.